Yeah, those two guys are, yeah. Especially that guy. He had 130 yards and 3 touchdowns last game. They don't throw it much to their tight ends, so you have to worry about them. Those two didn't really do much. Their running back potentially could be a big factor, but he's a big bowling ball guy, so he's just going to run it up the middle.
First and foremost, we have Supply Chain Solution. Our field is named after them because they saved us when we first started this team. So this is now Supply Chain Solutions field. Also, Ghost River Brewery. We have 901 Training Group. Game Day Men's Health. 414 Restoration. Sinesta Simply Sweets. Interactive Security. Kennedy Lawns and Landscape. Don't forget our artist, Timothy Berry, who tagged our with our logo, did a great job with that. And we will be back here in a few minutes to let our Hound dogs out. Y'all ready? Are you ready?
You're watching the Arena League from the Bluff City of Memphis, Tennessee, on the banks of the mighty Mississippi. The Arkansas Diamonds visit the Memphis Hound Dogs inside the Memphis Sports and Event Center. It's going to be a rematch of a couple of weeks ago for first place and one of the best games in all of indoor football all season long. Welcome in. We're glad to have you with us. I'm Jeff Breibel alongside Matt Infield. Matt, if we get a repeat of the last matchup, we're in for a treat tonight.
Jeff, 13 days ago, these two teams played probably the game of the year in the Arena League. The Diamonds coming out on top 68-61, and their quarterback Jordan Ambrose, the biggest reason why. 5 touchdowns through the air in that game, 2 more on the ground. He rushed for over 100 yards by himself. He has been the engine of an offense that has gotten better each and every week, and he is the biggest reason why the Diamonds sit at 4-1 coming into tonight.
Meanwhile, for the Hound Dogs, they've got a pretty good quarterback, too, in Sky Force. He got out to a really good start last week. Couple of picks in the fourth quarter were costly, but they feel he's up to the challenge.
Sky Force threw 8 touchdowns last week, or in that last game. That's great. He also threw 5 interceptions, including a costly one in the final 30 seconds when the Hound Dogs were knocking on the door to win the game. But in talking with him, head coach Robert Redmond, Dustin Bauman, they think he's going to bounce back in a big way tonight.
Well, the Diamonds could potentially clinch first place tonight with only 2 more games left after this evening. But if the Hound Dogs win, they're back in first place. It's going to be quite the battle tonight here in Memphis. We'll throw things off when we come back in just a moment. Well, the captain's meeting at midfield here. The 4-1 Arkansas Diamonds with a win over the Hound Dogs a couple of weeks ago put Memphis in second place. But, Matt, as we were talking about when we came on, Arkansas wins this one. They'll be 2-0 against Memphis. They will wrap up the top seed with 2 games to go. Memphis wins. They move back into a first-place tie, but on the point differential, which Memphis has a plus 39 and Arkansas is even, Memphis would be the number 1 seed with 2 weeks to go. So there is a ton on the line tonight.
Well, we talked with head coach Robert Redmond the other day, and he said we have to be honest with ourselves. This is a playoff game, and the Hound Dogs are still in a good position to make the playoffs because the top 2 teams in each division make it. But if they want, obviously, any hope at a top seed and a home playoff game in the semifinals, this is a must-win game tonight.
Well, and to your point, if Memphis did not come out on top tonight, and Monroe wins this weekend, all of a sudden that's a playoff implicating game next week in Monroe, Louisiana on that rematch.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Memphis still manages to make the playoffs if they lose tonight, well, now you're in position where you have to go to Hot Springs and play Arkansas at their place. And we saw 2 weeks ago, that's one of the best environments in the entire league, probably a home field advantage of sorts. So This Hound Dog team definitely wants to avoid that, while the Diamonds want to put them to bed.
Meanwhile, around the league tonight, quickly, Matt, only one other game. It'll be Iowa at St. Joe's, Monroe at Ozarks, and Nebraska at Eau Claire's tomorrow. But if St. Joe's wins that game, basically Nebraska and St. Joe's have locked up the North Division, and they'll play one more time to see who's going to be the top seed. So definite separation in the North. Could be some separation with 2 games to go if Memphis wins it here tonight. But as you look at this matchup, as we are nearing throw-off between the Hound Dogs and the Diamonds, it was quite the game. And we'll see if the 7 points on the last play of the game make a difference at the end of the season, because that was big. It was a 1-point game.
Absolutely.
They got the touchdown when Memphis tried to stand for Cal play to try to tie things up. But if Memphis does win, both of these teams try to win out and win by as big of a margin as you can. We're going to see, I think, this point differential tiebreaker potentially come into play with 2 weeks to go.
Well, Jeff, this is an Arkansas team that lost week 1 40-14, but they have gotten progressively better ever since then. They have increased their point total on offense every single week since that point, culminating in 68 last week. So this is a team that's rolling. They've got a lot of confidence right now. Memphis, I think, is still plenty confident in themselves, but a lot on the line tonight.
Well, Memphis will receive to start this ball game. It'll be DJ Briggs, the deep man for the Hound Dogs, as Arkansas in the white tops, black helmets and black pants. Hound Dogs in their navy helmets, navy tops, and white pants here this evening. And it looks like it'll be Isaac Zico to throw for the Diamonds. Well, this has been the anticipated game for 2 weeks after that first one, and we are underway. Line drive to the 5, and there goes Briggs. Has a little bit of a seam, will be out across the 15 to about the 16-yard line, and that's where the Hound Dogs are going to start things behind Sky Force. Now, he's got 2 great weapons in Kewan Malone. Donald Gray feels like he's good to go and healthy tonight up front. Hamilton and Stackens at the tight ends. Williams will be your center, and it looks like it'll be Bell to start at running back.
In talking with offense coordinator Dustin Bowman throughout the week, made a big point that Tony Bell is healthy this week. He didn't play in that Arkansas game. They are going to try to get him going, but that 2-headed combination in the backfield with Briggs as well, it's all about who's fresh.
Gray to the near side. Malone, the vertical man in motion. They're going to blitz from the right side. Deep down the right side. That is really nice coverage as they had Gray covered up. He was trying to streak down the right sideline, and he was picked up that time by Roderick Chapman.
Yeah, Gray, I think that time was pressed on the line of scrimmage, but then that corner backed off. A safety rotated over and picked up Gray on the deep ball. Nice job on coverage there by that defensive back for Arkansas.
So it'll bring up 2nd and 10 from the Hound Dogs' 16-yard line. Gray, the vertical man. There goes the flag. Quick outlet on the right side. They'll get Bell, cuts back close to the 25. Will be short to about the 24, so he's going to need 2 more yards. It'll be 3rd and 8. Well, we'll see, first of all, what this flag will be. Looks like Memphis is going to be coming back, so either somebody jumped. I don't think vertical man got offside, so they must have had something up on the line. Will be false start on the Hound Dogs.
So back him up to 2nd and 15.
Coach on the field for the Hound Dogs in the hoodie there, that's Dustin Bowman. He is the offensive coordinator for the Hound Dogs. His Hound Dogs scoring 48 points a game, averaging 255 yards a ball game. 32 touchdowns on this year for Memphis. So again, Gray to the near side, Malone up high. Gray will be the vertical man. They're going to blitz. He finds a seam up the middle. He'll put his head down, and he's a big guy. Bulls his way close to the 20 to about the 19. He'll be just past the original line of scrimmage, and that's something we talked to Dustin Bowman about 2 weeks ago. Forrest, I think, looks downfield to check off a lot. Had a lot of opportunity to do things like that a couple of weeks ago.
Dustin Bowman told us this week they want him to run when it is available. When there is a lane, slide if you can. They don't want him taking too many hits. But he's a big fella, and as you saw there, a tough guy to bring down. So there are yards to be had with Sky Forest's legs.
Gray near the wall. Malone will be in the slot. Still Bell, the running back. Malone, vertical man. They'll blitz from behind, and they'll throw to the right side, and they've got Bell for the first down right at the 25-yard line.
Like that play design there where they send one man, Malone, in the vertical motion, send Bell horizontally, which is legal as long as they're going those separate directions, and then Bell leaks out to the flat, is wide open for the first down. Feels like a pretty big one after that 2nd and 15, too.
So that'll be a first down for Memphis. Came in with 36 first downs on the season. Memphis is a big play offense, so some of their numbers may be a little misleading with only the 36 first downs. Gray comes across. They'll give it up under to Bell. Bell breaks a tackle across the 20 down to close to the 15-yard line. So it'll be about an 8-9 yard carry that time. So Memphis staying on the ground there.
And Bell and Briggs kind of give you these different dimensions. Bell maybe a little bit more of your traditional between the tackles runner. Briggs a little bit more of a scat back. So like we talked about, Dustin Bowman very excited to get Tony Bell back in the mix this week.
Vertical man's Malone. They gave it coming across to Gray, and they'll be stuffed in the backfield, and that'll be about a 2-yard loss. Coming up, looked like Taylor Hunt that time out of Roxy, Mississippi, and Hines Community College.
I think there is a flag on the play. I think Dustin Bowman wanted contact to the head on that tackle. We'll see if they get it.
A little up and under play that time.
Face mask.
Yep.
Which is huge because all of a sudden you go from 3rd and 9 or 10 to a first down near the 10-yard line, inside it actually.
So the only weapon Memphis has not used yet are their 2 big tight ends in Hamilton and Stackens, and here's where they like to use these guys, inside the 10-yard line. Memphis right now 87.5% in the red zone, and this is where they'll use Stackens and Hamilton. Bell moves in motion. They'll hand off up under, finds a seam across the 5 down to the 4.
Oh, Jeff, something else that kind of went against the trends last week or in that last game. Arkansas is the most penalized team in the league, but 2 weeks ago it was Memphis who committed 9 penalties for 79 yards, really shot themselves in the foot.
Malone to the left of Forrest, Gray to the right near the wall, and again, Bell stays in at running back. Malone comes across. Quick pitch, and it's in and out of the hands. It was right there to Bell. He just couldn't handle it and gives it up to Arkansas. Big, big turnover there. Memphis was driving. Matt, did not look like a bad pitch to Bell, just in and out of the hands.
Maybe a touch behind him. Replay is going to take a look, I imagine, to make sure it's not a forward pass. It looked like a lateral to me. But they are going to stop the game and just confirm. Yeah, it felt like Forrest was maybe in between whether he wanted to keep it himself or pitch it out to Bell. But they're going to take a look.
This is not a challenge. This is the officials' review here, so no timeouts will be deducted from the teams here. This is an officials' review. So right now, it stands to be Arkansas ball after Memphis is driving. They'll have it at just shy of the 7-yard line.
Yeah, pretty clearly that ball is going backwards.
Yeah.
So this would be a fumble. And Diamond football. Turnovers, we talked about a huge part of why the Hound Dogs came up short 2 weeks ago. And they had the ball inside the Arkansas 10-yard line and throw away a golden opportunity to strike first.
So Ambrose in the shotgun. To his right will be Zico, and to his left Dilworth, and they've got a pretty good tandem, too, at the wideouts. Coming out will be Carter. Ambrose, he's going to go deep, and that was a misread or miscommunication. And that ball's off the wall. In some arena leagues, that's a live ball. Memphis is going to take it. They'll whistle it dead. Some of the indoor leagues allow you to play it off of the wall, but that one was blown dead.
I'm also curious if a fan maybe along that wall got a piece of it, if that had any part of it. But nonetheless, Arkansas catch a bit of a break there.
So it'll be 2nd and 10. Little quick hitch this time out to the 10, across just shy of the first down, brought down at the 14-yard line.
And it didn't look like Ambrose was ready for that snap, and that's something you watched that game a couple weeks ago. I feel like the timing on some of the operation for the Diamonds with their snaps is a little bit out of sync. So curious if that continues throughout the game tonight or if that was a one-off right there.
So again, up high will be Zico. Dilworth will come down to the near side. Handoff up the middle, and their running back is a dangerous guy, Martez Carter out of Grambling State. 22 rushes, 93 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Had 7 carries for 20 yards and a couple of scores 2 weeks ago over in Hot Springs.
Bowling ball of a runner, also had a cup of coffee with the Saints in the NFL in 2019, so a real weapon out of the backfield.
Good little move out to the right side. This time they'll go right over the middle and falling forward for the first down. And now the Diamonds starting to move the ball on possession. That time they went over to Dorsey. So Arkansas cross midfield. Ambrose, he'll keep it himself. Oh, he is a load, a lot like Sky Forest. He'll carry himself right to the stick. That should be good enough for the first down, it looks like, from here.
Ambrose over 100 rushing yards in that matchup 2 weeks ago. The leading rusher in the entire league coming into tonight. So, yeah, a real part of the Diamonds offense that Memphis has to account for.
Well, they've stayed away from Ladarius Lee so far, who's got 11 interceptions and had that huge game over in Hot Springs. Ambrose. They'll get him to scramble a little bit to his left. Backing up. He'll make the smart play. He just launches it out of bounds.
So it's Zico coming out of the backfield that time, and he was open for a moment in the end zone, but Ambrose flushed, knocked off his spot, and couldn't make the throw in time.
Now bring up 2nd and goal. Just inside the 9.
And obviously worth pointing out, Jeff, this is an Arkansas team that was in the league last year as the Hot Springs Wise guys, so a lot of these players, there's some familiarity with both the coaching staff and the guys on the field.
Played in the championship. They're trying to get back. Zico went in vertical motion. Now Ambrose going to try to run. He'll stay inside the hashes. I don't think he did. I think he stepped out of it. Flag came in late as he falls at the 5, and I believe he went outside the hashes a yard too early.
Because you have to have both feet within the hashes. I think he had one inside the hashes, but not the other, not the left foot.
So that will bring it back. Actually, I think they're going to hold as well, so that'll be the first penalty. I still think he went outside the hashes.
And the hold will knock them back 10 yards. The running lane violation would knock them back 5, so obviously Memphis will take the 10.
Well, early on, Matt, here in the first, that not even 8 minutes yet, the penalties have hurt Arkansas, but the turnover hurt Memphis as we remain scoreless halfway through the first.
I've talked about the penalties have been a problem for Arkansas most of the season, not as much 2 weeks ago, but the trends would say you would bank on that hurting them more throughout the game tonight.
They're going to put Carter out at receiver on the near side, and they'll stack Zico and Dilworth. That's Dilworth who went vertical motion. Ambrose going deep, looking for Dilworth in the middle, and he'll throw that one a little too long. Overshot Isaac Zico that time. Now, you're tuning in from Hot Springs. This is a little unusual, but it's not unheard of. I believe San Antonio and 1 or 2 other teams had it in their indoor league where they did not have the end zone walls, so it's the college rule, get 1 foot in. You don't see it very much in indoor football, but Memphis is not the first team to have that set up.
So at week 1, we played a really fun game, or week 2, the first home game, played a really fun game. The players will adjust to it.
3rd and goal from the 20-yard line. Ambrose looking out to the left. He's got a little room, and he keeps his feet, and he scores. He's a big guy to try to bring down, and someone laid a big hit on him, but he didn't go down at 6'2", 228. And that is going to be another rushing touchdown for Ambrose. Again, he had the big game against Memphis on the ground, 102 yards, and he scrambles 20 here.
That was another one that was close to being a running lane violation, but I guess he kept his feet inside the hashes long enough, and the Hound Dogs brought the blitz, and once they over-pursued, Ambrose made them pay.
So a 20-yard scramble. They'll go for the 1-point extra point. Quick flag, and that's going to be in and out of the hands of Isaac Zico. We'll see what this flag is about. It came to the back judge around the 20-yard line.
Which usually would indicate some sort of offensive penalty for what we've seen.
All right, now stands to just be a 6-0 lead for Arkansas. Not quite the pace we had in Hot Springs, but both teams have been able to make some, probably more on the defense, a few adjustments.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a 129-point score tonight. Great. I don't think anyone would.
Motion on Arkansas. Penalty is going to be declined. So it'll be a 6-0 game here, Arkansas, as they strike first.
That's something, if you watched a couple weeks ago, you picked up on. Arkansas pretty content to go for the 1-point conversion from the 5-yard line. Memphis, most of the season, has gone from the 10 and gone for the 2.
Well, you look league-wide, and I don't have any, as we've watched other games in the league, and I don't have the percentages, but not been a whole lot of extra points league-wide. Most of these scores you see are by multiples of 6. You'll see a 1 or a 2 here or there, but the extra point is proven this year, where you're going for 1 or 2, very difficult to get.
Well, and that's why going for the 10 in some instances, give yourself a little more space to operate, and you get the extra point. It does make sense, but yeah, quarters get tight down there, and it's tough to make anything happen when the defense knows what's coming.
So Memphis gets set to receive, and again it'll be DJ Briggs to take the throw. Get a 6-0 Diamonds lead. A wobbly ball to the 3, and Briggs finds some room to the right side. He's got a man to beat if he can split the seam, and they'll wrap him up, but a big return across the 20 down to about the 16-yard line, and here we go, the first bit of John after that highly contested game 2 weeks ago.
Briggs, not the biggest guy in the world, but he wasn't afraid to get in someone's face after that big return, and that's kind of sparked that Memphis after the fumble inside the 10 on the first drive. They needed that.
So they had Bell at running back on the first series. They'll rotate Bell and Briggs to keep the guys fresh. Coach Bowman said if one of them gets hot, they'll stay in there, but he likes to rotate. So it will be Bell staying in to the left side in the slot. They'll put Gray and Malone, receivers, to the right side for Forrest. That's Bell. Takes the inside handoff. He'll be to about the 17-yard line, so a gain of maybe 1 on that one.
It's been a concerted effort so far from the Hound Dogs and offensive coordinator Dustin Bowman to try and get the running game going. Bell popped 1 on that first drive, but I'm curious if they stick with it or maybe they just wait to open it up downfield, which is what we know they want to do.
Malone goes left. Vertical is going to be Gray to the right. They'll go to Gray. Reaches up, little spin move down to the 10-yard line, and that's going to get him just a couple of yards shy of the first down, gain of about 7.
Oh, Jeff, the bye week did wonders for, I'm sure, everyone on both teams, but Donald Gray was clearly laboring through that game 2 weeks ago. Made it all the way to the end of the game, gutted through it, but was not 100%. They said he is in much better shape tonight.
3rd and a long 2 here. Forrest looks for Malone and overshot him, and Malone, little hesitation there, and that pass just a little bit ahead of him. You're in 4-down territory here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Malone, weary of taking the hit from the linebacker that was waiting over the middle of the field, and Forrest thought he would be there. Curious, do we get, at some point, more QB power with Scott Forrest in these short yard situations?
So in the slots, Malone. Gray will be the vertical receiver to the wall, and again, Bell in the backfield. There goes Malone to his left. Forrest is going to keep it himself. Fakes to the left. They're going to stack him up at the 10. He is going to be shy of the first down, and Arkansas is going to take over on downs. A really nice job up front. Roderick Chapman again was up there. And he's been very big in the middle for Arkansas this year, and he's pretty good when he has to drop back. He's got 3 picks on the season, but he stuffs Forrest as he takes the step out to the left. Came out and delivered a really nice hit there.
Arkansas defensive line as well. Great penetration right away. I don't think Forrest had any sort of lane up the middle within the hashes. So I said QB power, it didn't work. You got to tip your cap to that Diamonds defense.
Well, and Trey Farrell had him wrapped up, and he's more your prototypical indoor football nose guard at 6'2", only 210. Over the middle, an interception. Hound Dogs are going to tie it up. Well, that's been the specialty for the Hound Dogs all season long on the defensive side, and DeMacio Ewing, signed 3 weeks ago, picks it off over the middle and of his first Hound Dog interception.
Ewing, a guy that can play on both sides of the ball. They were a little thin at wide receiver last week, or 2 weeks ago. He had a sensational 35-yard touchdown, but that's where he's really comfortable, and this ball-hawking Hound Dogs defensive backfield strikes again.
Well, he just went up for it. They were looking for Isaac Zico, and he read it all the way.
Ambrose also flustered by the pressure, so a nice call by Robert Redmond. Ties the game, and now they'll go for 2 from the 10 like we talked about.
They'll go triple set on the left side. Bell, the back man, to the corner, tipped, set out of bounds. And so it'll stay a 6-6 ball game. But again, the unconventional indoor field allows you to do that. They were looking for Gray back there in the back corner. Gray has come up with some big ones back there. Also a little bit of extra space as it rounds out in the corners. But a 6-6 game. Memphis was big defensively. I know that's hard to fathom in a 68-61 game, but Darius Lee was the man on the mission over in Hot Springs, but Ewing comes through big here.
3 picks and a fumble recovery for Ladarius Lee in Hot Springs. But like we talked about, these guys have playmakers all over at all 3 levels of the defense. And after going fumble inside the 10, turnover on downs inside the 15, the Hound Dogs needed a spark, get the home crowd going a little bit, and Ewing provides it one play after the turnover on downs.
Well, it's only the 3rd home game in franchise history of the Hound Dogs. With the prior 2, they got out to just such hot starts. It's the first time they've been tested really in the first quarter at home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's pretty safe to say at this point that you would classify Arkansas as probably better than both Monroe and certainly Iowa. So this will be the most hotly contested game that these home fans here in Memphis have seen so far.
You got to imagine all eyes in the Arena League, even though there's a couple of games. There's one more game being played tonight, but all eyes here in Memphis on this. Will be taken at the 6-yard line, cut up the middle and out across the 20 to the 22. Crockett thought he maintained his feet, but there was no more forward progress, so the play is blown dead. Still a solid return, gets to the midfield for Arkansas, short field for their star-studded quarterback, Jordan Ambrose, out of Tomball, Texas, in Defiance College. Came into the game 107 of 195, 973 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 8 picks on the year.
And as we've already seen tonight, a real dual threat guy. Like we talked about, came in leading the league at rushing and pulled off really something, a cat out of the bag on 3rd and goal from a long way out on that last drive for the first Diamond score.
So Ambrose, a lot of movement there. Looked like Tyler Castle moved up front, the center. You also saw Martez Carter, and I believe they had the receiver in vertical motion. So just the count a little bit off there for Arkansas. So that'll be a penalty on the Diamonds. That's going to push them back. It'll be 1st and long. They'll push it back 5 yards here. Usually they'll flank Castle, Dorsey, and Hobbs. They don't use those too much. Dorsey, 3 catches, 14 yards, and then Hobbs, a couple of catches, 5 yards on the year, or against Memphis 2 weeks ago, rather.
I mean, I think it's safe to say these 2 teams probably have the 2 best wide receiver duos in the league. Graham Malone for Memphis, Dilworth and Zico for Arkansas. So, yeah, if you got weapons like that, why would you not feature them?
Again, if you're tuning in, first time to watch a Hound Dogs game, the fans basically sit on one side here, the Memphis Sports and Events Center, as you see right there, and even the gyms came over from Hot Springs to cheer on their team, and they welcome the Arkansas fans, traveling quite a few Memphis fans from the Mafia went over to Hot Springs, and their fans will make the trip over here to Memphis.
Great environment over in Hot Springs a couple weeks ago. Hound Dog fans trying to replicate that the best they can tonight.
Well, they'll fake the toss. Ambrose keeps on the middle. He gets tripped up. He's going to be swarmed in the backfield. I don't think that was a bad play at all. Memphis just sniffed it out. Once he made the stutter step back to the left, it got closed up the middle big time by Meonte Kimbrough.
There's the late flag. The whistle blew. The momentum was kind of taking Ambrose to the ground, but I'm wondering if there's going to be a late hit because they didn't let go.
Hasler, or was it? Yeah, it was Hasler that got in there initially, and then Kimbrough came in and wrapped him up.
Now head coach Bolts Pagante for Arkansas having a discussion with the refs. Now Robert Redmond in his patented bucket hat is going to make his way out the field and get an explanation as well.
Well, Ambrose has been held to just 1 for 5 to start this game for 7 yards. Bones Pagante knows about playing in some big-time football, some big-time games at his time in college. That'll push it back. And Arkansas has got to go all the way to the Memphis 17 right now to pick up a first down. So they've got nearly 30 yards to gain for the first year.
So I imagine when Ambrose got tackled, I don't know if it was him or another Arkansas player had something to say. And both Pagante none too happy in the Arkansas end zone.
So Dilworth is going to be in vertical motion. Again, trying from the backfield. There's just nothing there right now. Trying to keep it himself again.
But Stankley doing what you need to do against Ambrose. You need to go low because you try tackling him up high, you're not going to have a fun time.
Well, Lee known so much for his play in the defensive backfield. Well, here comes Pagante from behind. We think maybe, he may have made, it was incidental, but he may have touched the shoulder, and you cannot touch the official at all.
He was vouching for Ambrose. He felt like they drove him to the ground late, but you can't touch the refs, and it drew the flag.
Again, they've got to get all the way to the Memphis 17-yard line for a first down, so 3rd and 28 coming up. And that is going to end the first quarter. Not as high scoring, but it's just as competitive as we saw 2 weeks ago. Through one quarter of play in Memphis, the Hound Dogs and the Diamonds tied at 6. Matt Enfield's going to take you to the middle portion of this game, the second and the third, when we come back to Memphis in just a moment. You're watching the Arena League.
A huge South Division showdown between the Arkansas Diamonds and the Memphis Hound Dogs, tied at 6 at the end of the first quarter. Jordan Ambrose, a touchdown run for Arkansas. Demisio Ewing, a pick 6 for Memphis. All the scoring so far. 3rd and very long for Arkansas coming up, but it'll be a little bit shorter after Jelani Willis jumped off sides for Memphis. Or let's call the false start, too, on the vertical motion. I'm not sure which one came first.
I don't know if Dilworth got off.
And Dilworth is the answer. It is a false start as he crossed the line of scrimmage too early, and it'll make it 3rd and about 30 for Arkansas inside their own 5-yard line.
Jelani Willis, even though he's on defense, thought he got a free play. That only happens on offense. But yeah, Dilworth got a really quick jump on that one and misread it. He was a step past before the snap, and now they are really backed up. And now they're in the position where just don't make a silly turnover. Preserve your right to surrender the ball.
Diamonds backed up on this drive after a 15-yard personal foul penalty by the head coach, Bones Pagante, for making contact with an official. So Dilworth out wide to the left. Zico in the slot. Third and very long. Ambrose avoids the safety. Taking a deep shot. He's got a man down there. It's going to be intercepted. Inside the 5, so essentially a very long punt. But for the second straight drive, Demisio Ewing comes up with an interception for Memphis. And the Hound Dogs will take over at their own 5-yard line.
Man, I'm sure teams obviously have game plan for Lee this year and Jelani Willis as well. That's going to allow Ewing to get picks now back third of the season.
So relatively speaking, no hard, no foul because it essentially serves as a surrender. But nonetheless, the second interception of the night for Jordan Ambrose. He had 3 2 weeks ago. And now the Hound Dogs with a chance to take the lead after starting out the game in an early 6-0 hole.
It's actually 10 bonus yards for Arkansas. The surrender would have had Memphis at
Correct.
the 15, but you got to defend that play. That would have been 6 all the way for Dilworth.
A great recovery by Ewing. So Memphis will go for their first offensive touchdown of the night. Sky Forest, a little bit of a slow start. The whole offense in general. Tony Bell in the backfield. Gray will go in vertical motion. Malone on the line of scrimmage to the left. Goes Gray out the slot. Forrest trying to buy time. He's got a wide open Donald Gray out near the 20-yard line. Now he's going to dance, put his head down, and Gray tackled near midfield for a big chunk play and a Hound Dog first down.
Great job for Forrest to stay patient there. He had Trey Farrell bearing down their nose guard. Again, more traditional indoor nose guard at 6'2", 210 out of Alcorn State, so he's got a little bit more speed applying the pressure.
And Gray had Jordan Seminat lost in the sauce on that route. Wide open. The first down from their 23. Forrest to Gray on the slant, who hangs on and makes a tough catch. Drilled inside the 20. That'll be a pickup of about 9. Gray a little slow to get up. He took a big hit. And we talked about he was playing banged up a couple weeks ago, but hangs on. He'll stay in the game.
Well, he threaded the needle. That catch right there, right between Martavius Miller and Roderick Chapman's the one that came up to deliver the hit.
And now Gray will exit the game a little bit gingerly. So 2nd and 1 coming up for the Hound Dogs. Bell in motion from the backfield. Slant is batted down and incomplete.
Well, Memphis playing a little two-way football, it looks like, as you'll see at this point in the season, as Ewing now is the receiver that came in to replace Gray. And he's got the 2 picks.
Ewing had a 35-yard touchdown on a really nice catch. Contested ball where he adjusted his body in the end zone last week, so he can do it. Credit Trey Farrell on the deflection that time for Arkansas. Sets up a 3rd and 2. Bell flanked out to the left. Malone will go in vertical motion. Ewing from the slot. The snap. Forrest, a little bit of time. Forrest spins. And flag comes down. Dumped off to Hamilton. Hamilton will rumble his way inside the 5-yard line, but the flag would suggest it is going to be holding against the Hound Dogs. We'll see if that is the call.
Well, got the defender spun around, and once he spun around, you saw the flag. That's exactly what it is. Coming back, Carbonte, a guy that played a little two-way football last game in Arkansas, put him on defense for the first time this season, but that's kind of where his specialty's been at the tight end with Stackins, but got the hold before. Let's take a look at it again. Hamilton that time, and there is the grab, and there is just a little hesitation. Got his hand on the shoulder pad of Trey Farrell.
So back the Hound Dogs up 10 yards and set up a 3rd, and we'll call it 12 from their own 23. Kind of in that in-between area where, depending on how much they pick up, they definitely go for it, but if they're stuck here, do they surrender or go on the 3rd and long? Forrest, pressure in his face, floats it too far, almost intercepted. That was Jordan Seminat, who tried to make the diving pick, and it'll set up a 4th down. And now decision time for Robert Redmond and the Hound Dogs. And it looks like they will surrender on 4th and 12 and give Arkansas the ball at their own 15.
There's not been an offensive touchdown for the Memphis Hound Dogs since the 3rd quarter at Hot Springs. Remember, Arkansas held Memphis scoreless in the 4th. The only touchdown for Memphis this game was the Ewing pick 6. This is the first team this season outside of Nebraska in the second half on opening weekend that has been able to slow the Hound Dog offense.
Hound Dogs put up 61 points in the first 3 quarters last week, just to be outscored 18-0 in the final frame on their way to that defeat, and still stuck in neutral so far tonight.
Meanwhile, Arkansas averages 42 points a game. Memphis defense has made a nice adjustment this game.
So Ambrose will send Zico in vertical motion from the right side. Ambrose across the middle. What a one-handed catch made by Dorsey. Still on his feet. Lou Dorsey cutting inside the 10. He's walloped at about the 7-yard line. But the one-handed snag and the yak for the former Illinois tight end Lou Dorsey. And the Diamonds are cooking with some words after the play as Dorsey was rocked.
That's the game we thought we would get, and we're already getting some big hits. Now, the scoring's not what we thought we would get, but some big hits, a lot of talking. That pass was behind Dorsey when he went up with the one hand.
Dorsey started his collegiate career, as mentioned, at Illinois, had a really productive freshman year. Left there, was actually committed to Mike Norvell in Memphis for the 2020 season, but then Norvell left and took the Florida State job. That never came to fruition. Neither did that run by Carter that time, as he's buried by Ethan Hassler for no gain.
Hassler 3 picks, 2 sacks on the year. Big 6'2", 247-pounder out of Collierville, Tennessee, and Arkansas State had a pick 6 in Hot Springs 2 weeks ago.
Local product is Ethan Hassler. Made a big impact for this Hound Dogs defense. He'll set up a 2nd and goal from the 6. Carter in the backfield with Ambrose. Zico motions right, Dilworth to the left. Ambrose floats it back in the end zone behind Dilworth, who is open for the score. Incomplete. And a 3rd and goal coming up.
I think near the line of scrimmage, Ewing came up and may have got a fingertip on it and deflected it just a little bit on that dart to the back of the end zone. So Ewing with a couple of picks and potentially a pass deflection there just on the tip of the finger.
Like we talked about, when things get tight down here in the red zone, it becomes tougher and tougher to score. 3rd and goal coming up for Arkansas. Dilworth and Zico to the left. Ambrose escapes for a moment, and I think that's going to be a hold. Ambrose inside and delivers the blow. Touchdown for the moment, but I think it's coming back for a holding penalty, but Ambrose delivered a little bit of punishment there at the end. I believe it'll be all for naught, but we'll wait for the call from the ref.
Yeah, put a big hit there right at the line of scrimmage, and we told you he and Forrest could deliver some big hits. They're 2 huge quarterbacks. Got good feet for a big guy as well.
And holding is indeed the call. It was Jaron Friesen, Memphis product, who was applying the pressure but was held. It'll set up a 3rd and goal from the 16. But remember, Jeff, Arkansas is facing 3rd and goal from about the 20. A couple drives ago, and Ambrose did the work himself for the touchdown. Dilworth out wide to the left. Zico to the right. Carter in the backfield with Ambrose. Dilworth, vertical motion. Ambrose floats it, looking for Dilworth, who is open for a moment, but Ambrose throws it out of the back of the end zone. Incomplete. 4th and goal coming up for the 16. Another, not really a decision. You're getting a yard by surrender, so Arkansas will go for it. Worth mentioning, by the way, the replay official told us that the 2 teams agreed the running lane tonight are the wide hashes on the field, not the skinny ones. They thought that running lane was too narrow, so they have widened it to the wider hashes on the field.
Dilworth made a nice move that time. That was just an overthrow that time by Ambrose. He cut to his right. Once he moved to the left, had that corner of the end zone. But that's the thing, not just Ambrose, but Forrest will have to adjust to in the wide hashes.
Ambrose, I think this could be another hold as he's trying to keep the play alive. Friesen trying to run him down, and Ambrose will be tackled into the boards. And I imagine the Hound Dogs will decline this penalty and just take the ball at about their own 12-yard line. Looked like another hold that time on the Diamonds' offensive line. I believe that was Trey Castle, the center, who was guilty of the penalty that time.
Well, they went over and talked to Eric Rollins, the defensive coordinator of the Hound Dogs. He says, we'll take it right there. Well, both teams, Matt, have kind of been their own worst enemy on offense. And the defense have made good plays, but we've seen some costly penalties for Arkansas. Big turnover for Memphis on the bell. Fumble a little bit earlier, but it's flipped to a defensive game here in the rematch.
The complete opposite of what we had 13 days ago in Hot Springs. So, this Hound Dogs offense that has been stuck in the mud so far. No touchdowns, no points put up by them. 6 for Memphis coming from a pick 6 by Demisio Ewing. The Diamond scoring a touchdown courtesy of a Jordan Ambrose run.
4 receptions for Gray, 1 for Malone so far. That's been it for the Memphis offense.
Malone in vertical motion left side. Flipped out. That's big Michael Stackett, who is wrestled down at about the 20-yard line. The big fella who last played at Memphis 20 years ago with his first catch of the night.
Out of McNary Central, and Selmer had 5 touchdowns coming to the game. One of those touchdowns in Hot Springs 2 weeks ago. He and Hamilton, probably the best receiving and size duo as far as tight ends in the league.
And this time they go to Hamilton, through his hands, intercepted. And guess who it is? DeWandre Crockett, who had 3 interceptions 2 weeks ago. He's got his first of the night, and once again, a turnover by Memphis. As their offense can knock it out of their own way tonight, Arkansas will take over at their own 20-yard line.
A little bit of a wobble on that pass, but it's in Hamilton's hands. That's a catch you got to make right after I was talking about the best 2 tight ends in the league as far as size and receiving, and deflected off Hamilton's hands, into the hands of Crockett, and the Gems have a lot to cheer about on the road right now. It's still a 6-6 game.
So Memphis so far tonight has gone fumble, turnover on down, surrender, and then the interception. And it remains 6-6 with about 4 minutes to play in this first half. Zico in vertical motion. And they find Zico over the middle, turns. He'll have the first down, keeping those legs churning. And a pack of Hound Dogs will tackle him inside the 20, but not before the Diamonds pick up a first down.
Yeah, Memphis stayed in zone coverage that time, not man-to-man, and Ambrose did a nice job just to find that open seam to his left.
This time Dilworth goes in vertical motion. Under pressure right away is Ambrose. Flips it out. That's be caught in the flat. That's Vincent Hobbs, who played college ball at East Texas A&M, ULM, and Colorado with his first catch of the night. Picks up about 4.
National champion in junior college at East Texas State. Played a little bit at Colorado at Division I as well.
So Troy Evans Jr. out wide to the right. Zico in the slot on the left. There's Dilworth in vertical motion, but not for this play is blown dead.
This goes offsides on Arkansas, and it does. That's her second vertical motion infraction of the game and this quarter.
They were really good about limiting the penalties a couple weeks back when they've been the most penalized team in the league all year, but definitely not the case tonight.
55 for 410. That's their 7th of this ball game.
So after the nice play on first down, it will set up a 2nd and 12 after the vertical motion penalty. Evans alone on the right side. Zico in vertical motion out of the slot. Here comes the quarter blitz. Zico wide open in the end zone. About a step too far on the throw that time by Ambrose. And Jordan Ambrose has missed a couple of open receivers in the end zone. Otherwise, this could be a really different ball game right now.
Well, they picked up the blitz and it left man-man coverage in the backfield, and Zico made the right cut right over the middle. Again, just an overthrow. That should have made it 12-6.
Zico, a big-time player who had 10 catches for 130 yards and 3 touchdowns, including the game winner in the first edition of this matchup 2 weeks ago. And that'll take us to the 2-minute warning here in Memphis. We had an offensive brawl a couple weeks back. Tonight, a defensive slugfest here at the Memphis Sports and Event Center. Hound Dogs and Diamonds with the South Division on the line, tied at 6 at the conclusion of the first half in just a moment.
Probably a combination of adjustments and having the week off.
129 points scored combined. The first time these two teams played 2 weeks ago. Through 28 minutes of football tonight, just 12. 6-6, Arkansas and Memphis, 3rd and 12 coming up for the Diamonds. Blitz. Ambrose escapes. That's Wills chasing after him. Ball's out on the ground. Ambrose tries jumping on top of it, and I think he does at about the 23-yard line. Credit Jelani Willis, the former Tennessee State and Western Michigan man, with applying the pressure and the relentless pursuit that time. They'll set up a 4th and long. You don't gain much from the surrender, but it's still an interesting decision as the defense for Arkansas wants to come on the field, it looks like.
Well, had the undershirt, nearly got a 2nd sack of the year. The former Bartlett Panther and some of the Bartlett Panther players out here enjoying tonight's ball game. So nearly got one for his alma mater. Not the only low-scoring game. I think both games feeling the effects of a bye week because St. Joe's right now only with a 7-6 lead late in the first half over Iowa.
So 4th and about 16 coming up. Ball at the Memphis 23. Again, a surrender only nets you 8 yards, but if you don't get it, Memphis with good field position. And another, it looks like, vertical motion penalty. A pass almost intercepted by Ewing again, which would have been his 3rd of the half. And I imagine if it is on Arkansas, and it is, that the Hound Dogs will decline. They do, and they'll take over right near midfield.
Both teams offensively trying to get things in gear, trying to get a little spark. We're now Memphis with just 46 seconds to go, and that's a lot of time in the indoor game here and a short field to go. Could really get some momentum if they could score going into the locker room.
And the Diamonds will get the ball to start the 3rd quarter, so Memphis with all 3 timeouts and just under a minute remaining will try and take the lead. This offense has struggled to get anything going tonight. Donald Gray back on the field. Don't think he was playing on the last drive after looked like he banged up his leg a little bit. We know he hasn't been 100%, and he's taken a couple big hits tonight.
He's got 4 of the 6 receptions, though, in the first half.
Trips to the left. Gray, Malone, and Briggs. Forrest under pressure. He finds big Cormonte Hamilton. Sheds a tackle. Hamilton, what a move in the open field. He lost the ball, and it looks like Arkansas is on top of it. A play that got the whole crowd going, all for naught, as Hamilton is stripped. And it is Anthony Switzer, former Arkansas Razorback, former Arkansas State Red Wolf, and Utah State man who comes away with it. And a huge momentum killer. And now the Diamonds, if they go the length of the field, can take the lead and double up before the half.
Crockett got the interception off the ball that went in out of the hands of Hamilton. Hamilton trying to make something happen late on this run after the reception. It just gets stripped here. Never really had that ball tightly secured. That hit actually came down around the hip, not around the arm.
And credit Trey Farrell, the former Alcorn State man, with the forced fumble. The 3rd turnover for Memphis tonight. 2nd fumble, interception to go with it, and their offensive woes continue.
Well, they'll reset the clock. Memphis started with 46 seconds, so once they reset this clock, Matt, my guess is they're going to have 3, maybe 4 good opportunities. We'll see. They got 1 here, unless that clock was running, but it's supposed to stop at the under 2-minute warning.
Diamonds will have to go 45 yards in, imagine, about 30 seconds or so. They try and take the lead before halftime. Again, they do get the ball coming out of the locker room. Ambrose, play fake, going long, wide open man is Dilworth, and about a step too far in front of him, incomplete.
Well, nice thought. They've gone long a couple times so far this ball game, but they've overshot every time so far in the opening half. The receivers have done a nice job. That's going to be the last play, I think, to get open. That ball just been a little bit over the target.
Well, if you came expecting another offensive fireworks display, you are sorely disappointed. A highly competitive game. Nonetheless, the South Division on the line tonight. Arkansas can clinch the #1 seed in the South. The Hound Dogs can go on top of the division themselves with a victory 6-6 between the Diamonds and Hound Dogs at the break here at the Memphis Sports and Event Center. Both teams go to locker room. We'll be back in a few moments to recap the first half. 6-6 game. You're watching the Arena League.
Matt, all
I was thinking when Hamilton was running, I was like, run to the bed, run to the bed. Six turnovers, a turnover and down, and a surrender between the two. Got to touch James and see who's wearing 14 for us on defense.
Defense ruling the day so far in the 901. Diamond 6, Hound Dog 6. 13 days after these two teams scored 129 points combined. Alongside Jeff Brightwell, I am Matt Enfield. Jeff, whether it's adjustments, rust, a combination of both, these offenses are stuck in neutral so far. Defenses dominate tonight.
Turnovers and penalties have been the story. Let me give you some quick numbers here.
They're not pretty.
Of the offensive possessions between both teams, to end the offensive possessions, we've seen 6 turnovers, turnover on down once, and 1 surrender, and just 6-6. And Memphis scored a defensive touchdown. Only 1 offensive touchdown tonight, and that was on the ground.
DeBisio Ewing with a pick 6 for Memphis, providing their only 6 points of the night. Arkansas hasn't gotten much going offensively. Their only touchdown coming from a Jordan Ambrose putting the team on his back on 3rd and goal from about the 20-yard line. Sky Forest struggled in the 4th quarter a couple weeks back in this matchup. Not much cooking so far for Memphis on that side of the ball.
Force percentage is not bad, 60%. He's 6 for 10, 75 yards, but he's basically hit Gray 4 out of 6 targets. He's also thrown an interception. Meanwhile, you talk about Ambrose. He's run the ball okay when he's been able to get loose, but just 4-13 for 55 yards. And we've seen him overthrow some targets on deep balls 3 different occasions.
Hound Dogs with a golden opportunity to take the lead in the final minute of the first half. Cormonte Hamilton putting the moves on the open field before he lost the ball. That has been the story of the first 30 minutes of football here in Memphis, with the South Division on the line tonight between the Hound Dogs and Diamonds. We'll step away and take a look at some highlights when we come back from Memphis.
Good stuff.
A 6-6 game at the half between the Memphis Hound Dogs and the Arkansas Diamonds. All time, my partner Jeff Brightwell. I'm Matt Infield. Jeff, for those who say there's no defense in indoor football, boy, do I have some news for you tonight.
Well, that's what you're seeing tonight, and the big story of this game right now is at the half. Here's where the coaches earn their money, especially the offensive defensive coordinators. What adjustments can you make in the locker room right now, whether you're Arkansas or Memphis, whether it's doing something on offense or coming up with a big defensive play? One of these teams have to figure it out. As you see, there's Big Ambrose, and once he gets going, that truck's going downhill. It's tough to stop.
Really, the only big offensive highlight of the first half. This is on 3rd and goal from a long way out, too, and Ambrose just doing it himself. Like you said, if you're not going to go low on him, you're probably not going to have a fun time tackling him. Debecio Ewing with the immediate answer, the pick 6 for Memphis. He has been probably the best player on the field for the Hound Dogs tonight.
Well, so much has been made out of Lee, what should be, and then Willis for Memphis now. Ewing picking up some stop. That was a big stop there, and that was initially the hit by Hassler, and then Kimbrough, the nose guard, finished him off.
And the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that followed on head coach Bones Pagante for touching an official really put the Diamonds in a rough spot.
Well, Arkansas had the chance there. Their big running back, but got stopped. There's one big play offensively for Memphis. They've not been able to capitalize over it after the pick there. That was Ewing's second.
And the Memphis defensive front, which has been so good all year, probably an under-discussed aspect of their team, showing out tonight. And Crockett, 3 picks 2 weeks ago. Here, his first of this one.
Tough into the first half for Comonte Hamilton. Had that ball go in and out of his hands, it led to the interception. Memphis would come back on 4th down. They would get the stop, the fumble. Ambrose gets on top of it, but they would get the turnover on downs and be able to have one more chance. But good pressure there by Willis.
The Bartlett High product, Jelani Willis, in their relentless pursuit to force the fumble. Now, the Diamonds definitely had some chances. This is probably the catch of the first half by their big tight end, Lou Dorsey. Very talented players. He was walloped inside the 10-yard line, but again, they couldn't do anything with it once they got down there.
Pass a little bit behind, a little bit high, but able to reach back with the right hand. Nearly turned it into 6.
And Sky Forrest, if there is one player that gets the fan base going in Memphis, it is big Michael Stackett. This was the play that looked like it was going to be a huge momentum swing for Memphis that turned into a disaster. Hamilton putting the moves on, stripped inside the 10-yard line, and that led to a 6-6 game at the break. Not the offensive slugfest we thought we would get here in the 901 tonight. The Hound Dogs and Diamonds knotted at 6 apiece. Huge stakes for the playoff picture in the Arena League. We'll come back and have a look at our Player of the Week. You are watching the Arena League. What's the player? Who's the player again? Oh, McLean. Yeah. We'll roll that. Yeah.
Oh, DJ having some trouble.
Oh, no.
Okay, that's all right. I can recap what they gave us up here, what Tyler gave us. So. No, you're good. You're good. Score too. Butler's wearing 14.
Oh, it's Butler. Okay.
So Who is that?
Oh, Joy.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Back at the Memphis Sports and Event Center, Hound Dogs and Diamonds tied at 6 apiece. And Jeff, it's time we get a look at our Player of the Week in the Arena League. Not for the first time this year, it is Monroe quarterback Timmy McClain after a 9-touchdown performance a couple weeks back.
Saw him a couple of weeks ago here in Memphis. Memphis kept him scrambling at that point when you and I saw him, but boy, put on a show last week, lit it up. Receivers did a really nice job. Find their way open, stayed near the sideline, and Monroe, fighting for their playoff lives, came up big. They'll be at Ozarks tomorrow, and they'll be rooting for Arkansas in the second half here to set up a potential showdown for second place in the South Division. So they'll need him and the rest of those greenheads in Monroe to play huge in tomorrow's game if they want to stay alive just to get into the playoffs.
The Hound Dogs lost tonight. They would drop to 3-3. A Monroe victory tomorrow night would improve them to 3-3. Memphis would have the advantage on the point differential, but those two teams face off in Monroe 1 week from tomorrow night. And if anyone remembers the first matchup between the Hound Dogs and Greenheads this year, it was chippy.
Well, it was a chippy game. Memphis kind of put it on them late in the ball game in that one. Some shoving going on, and then in the ensuing weeks, a lot of talking on social media. So that could potentially be your game of the week in the Arena League next week.
The Hound Dogs coming back on the field now. The Diamonds shortly behind them. 6-6 at the half. We'll have the third quarter on the way in just a moment. I hope so.
So what we're going to do, after the game, you know how they all get to come on the field? Cash is going to do a game concert for us, all right? You hear that? All right, so everybody stick around. We're going to listen to Cash Family. Are you want to do it now? How we go? After the game, Cash Family concert for you guys.
Wow, Iowa scored on the last play of the half. Iowa, now that they're buried, playing all the contenders tough. They should have beaten Nebraska last week.
Spoiler.
I mean, if Iowa wins tonight, they stay alive. It's going to be really tough, though. But
Yeah, that's a big hole.
they got to win out, and St. Joe's has to lose, too, and that's not going to happen. So it's no offensive touchdowns in 3 quarters for the Hound Dogs.
Yep. Hound Dogs and Diamonds back on the field, tied at 6 here at the Memphis Sports and Event Center in a huge South Division showdown with playoff stakes on the line. Alongside Jeff Brightwell, I'm Matt Infield. Jeff, the Hound Dogs put up 61 points in the first 3 quarters in Hot Springs 2 weeks ago. In the 3 quarters since, no offensive touchdowns. The only points coming courtesy of a Demisio Ewing pick 6 tonight.
Got it in the first quarters. That's 3 quarters now that the then high-octane Memphis offense that we've seen the first half of this Arena League season has just gone completely flat. Now, Forrest has been accurate here in the first half. Again, we said 6 of 10, 75 yards through the 1 pick, but Memphis has been unable to do what they like to do, and they're a big play offense. They're not a team that's going to march the ball down the field. They've got the capability, but they like the big play offense. And right now, the front, whether it's Farrell or Primes or Hunt coming up for the linebacker position have been rushing for, Skyforce a little bit. Plus, here's Crockett, another interception, his 4th against Memphis over the last 6 quarters. You got Chapman, Seminit, Miller. They've done a nice job not letting the Hound Dog receivers break free on the deep routes.
Talk about the differences in styles between the two offenses. Memphis coming in with 36 first downs on the season, 5th in the league. Arkansas, 60 to lead the Arena League. So like you talked about, the Diamonds willing to march down the field, be a little bit more methodical. The Hound Dogs more dependent on the big play, which they've hit a lot this year, but not in the last 3 quarters.
The only thing that's played true for both of these teams are Arkansas's issues of penalties, probably is the only thing you can look at this game and say that it's kind of played true.
So Below with the throw off that I think was a little bit short of the 10-yard line. So if it is, the Diamonds will get the ball at midfield to start the 3rd quarter.
Arkansas asking about a little bit of contact by Martavius Newby there at the end. The hit right as the whistle was blowing on the penalty. Got to get it to at least the 10-yard line on the throw. And Memphis done a really nice job. That's going to be their first throw-off penalty of the season, to my recollection.
So a self-inflicted mistake for the Hound Dogs to begin the 3rd quarter, and the Diamonds with great field position, a chance to take the lead and pull away from the 6-6 tie. The only touchdown for Arkansas tonight, a Jordan Ambrose long touchdown run. Other than that, their offense has sputtered as well. Carter alongside Ambrose in the backfield. Hound Dogs showing blitz. That's Willis up at the line of scrimmage. Play fake over the middle. Pass out in front of Zico. Almost intercepted. Another inaccurate throw by Jordan Ambrose, and Ewing in the right place almost once again. Would have been his 3rd pick of the game.
Well, they brought the blitz, so they left it the man-man coverage, except for Ewing, who was going to be the safety back there, and right now it looked like it may have hit his feet on the low throw.
Ambrose missing a couple throws in the end zone in the first half as well that could have allowed the Diamonds to pull away a little bit. Be Dilworth out wide. Zico in motion out of the slot. Ambrose with time. Now he'll escape. Remember, wider running lane tonight. Both teams agreed to it. Ambrose loses the ball out of bounds. And he'll pick up about 5. Willis with the tackle will bring up about a 3rd and 5.
Now Memphis almost dove over the wall for that, and that was free ball as long as it rolls back to the right side. The fan gave it back. He doesn't know you get to keep the football.
We haven't seen too many people flip over the walls in Memphis yet this season. Zico, of course, had the game-winning touchdown catch over the wall in Hot Springs 2 weeks ago. So Dilworth on the line of scrimmage. They're going to send Zico in vertical motion from the slot on the left. 3rd and 5. High snap. Ambrose handles it. Low throw, and Dilworth makes the catch. But I think he'll be about a 1.5 yards short of the first. 4th down coming up.
Good play by Jelani Willis. Came up, made the immediate hit. The former Bartlett Panther out of Memphis, Tennessee. Spent a little time at Western Michigan, but he needed that quick hit there on that little slant route to the left side. If he doesn't get it, he can fall backwards and potentially stretch out for the 1st down.
So 4th and it'll be a full 2 yards coming up for the Diamonds. Carter in the backfield. Zico to the left. I think that Willis, we'll see if they get it on Willis or if Willis made Arkansas jump. It looked like a false start on the field, but we'll see. It was bang, bang. We'll see how the refs call it. And they will call the offsides on Willis. 5 yards. They'll give the Diamonds a 1st down.
Memphis has come out with a Willis on 3 of these plays so far, showing blitz. There's also contact up in the nose guard by Kimbrough as well. But Memphis showing pressure coming out of the locker room up on the front line.
The penalty is a big story tonight for both teams, and that one gives the Diamonds a 1st down at the 13-yard line. Carter in the backfield. Zico to the left, Dilworth to the right. Quarterback power. Ambrose keeping himself. Ambrose inside the 5, and he'll be down near the 1st down at about the 3. And I think they'll give it to him. Jordan Ambrose, like we talked about, a load to bring down, and he shows off the mobility there.
Willis ends up bringing him down to the end, tackling him low.
Jordan Ambrose, the Arena League's leading rusher, coming into tonight already with a long rushing touchdown in the game. And that mesh, a little bit sloppy. I don't know if it ever was fumbled, but Carter just has to fall on top of it Lost about 2, will bring up 2nd and goal.
Went a little bit too far back on the handoff. Carter did the smart thing. Once he's able to get it, I guess, semi-secured, he just went down. You know, take it back to close to the line of scrimmage. Don't turn it over this close.
So 2nd and goal from the 5. Ambrose, play fake, over the middle. Zico has his first touchdown of the night. And Arkansas will grab a 12-6 lead. After a hat trick of touchdowns 13 days ago, Isaac Zico on the board for the first time tonight. And the Diamonds come out of the locker room and immediately put 6 on the board.
Well, he was able to get behind Hazard that time and cut right in front of Lee. Didn't have to go deep that time, just cut it over the middle.
Zico, who played 2 years at Purdue and then had brief stints with both the Tennessee Titans and Arizona Cardinals in the 2019 offseason. Big-time talent. And so broke it up. There was a flag down as well in the offensive backfield. Credit Ahmad Butler, a new Hound Dog with the PBU. And the penalty is on Arkansas. Hound Dogs decline, and it'll be a 12-6 Diamond lead.
Butler's been in a couple of plays. Again, he's a new pickup. He was playing with the Iowa Woo a couple of years ago. He's MVP of the Arena League Championship when he was playing with the Duluth Harbor Monsters at that point, and they get him in mid-season, and at that point was leading Iowa in interceptions and pass breakups, so a big late-season pickup for the Hound Dogs.
Butler played his collegiate ball in Arkansas at Harding University in Searcy. Was a first-team All-Great American Conference selection in 2023 with them.
It's one of your better Division II programs in the country. Harding University's won a couple of national titles. They played for the national title 2 years ago.
So the Diamonds put their offensive struggles from the first half behind them to open up the third quarter. 5-yard touchdown from Ambrose to Zico gives the road squad a 12-6 lead, and now Memphis will try and answer. It's going to be Zico doing the throw off. Briggs to receive for Memphis. They'll catch it at the 4-yard line, trying to make moves in the open field. Briggs still on his feet. Briggs sidestep move out near the 20. He's still alive, and Briggs finally chopped down at the 19-yard line after putting on a show for a moment.
Now, Briggs stayed up the middle, which you want to do when you start the return. Never could find the seam to break to the outside, and at last cut back to the inside, but still puts him in really good position at the 19-yard line.
Hound Dogs offense went fumble, turnover on down, surrender, interception, fumble in the first half. No points put up by this unit so far tonight.
Memphis' best shot of scoring was Hamilton late in the first half.
Tony Bell in the backfield with Sky Forrest at quarterback. Malone, horizontal motion, Gray, vertical motion from the right side. Forrest with time, all the time in the world. Dumps it off over the middle, looking for Stackett, incomplete. Crockett on the coverage that time, and nobody open for the Hound Dogs.
Now, Forrest got caught. Again, he was checking downfield. They sent the man late when they thought he would not run, and by the time he would have had a chance to run, the pocket and the line in front of it had shifted to the left. He did not have the left side of the field, even on the long hash mark.
Again, a reminder to reiterate that point. The wider hash marks are the running lane tonight. Both teams agreed to it, not these short ones in the middle of the field. And that time, Forrest will throw it away and somehow gets it to Malone. Looked like he was going to be sacked and turned nothing into something. Malone picks up 2. It'll bring up 3rd and 8.
Well, look at a couple of yards on what was going to be a 7-yard loss. So you can give them 9 yards credit for that, not officially, but they came in on the blitz on the left side. He would have been down back at the 12-yard line, so that would have been a 7-yard loss, but gets 2 yards out of it. And right now at midfield, Memphis needing a spark. You got to think they're not going to surrender the ball even if it comes up to 4th down.
Roderick Chapman, who had a hold of Forrest but couldn't bring him down. So a big 3rd and 8 coming up from the 21. Gray and Malone both in vertical motion. And he finds Malone over the middle of the field near the 1st down marker. And he'll have it at the Arkansas 20-yard line. So Malone with back-to-back catches to move the chains for Memphis.
Well, Memphis may shift a little bit. Hudson Bowman may put him in more of a little bit of a possession style on this drive.
Now a stoppage in play. Timeout called by Arkansas.
So it'll be the first timeout called by either team, so they'll have 2 left for the rest of the half. But Memphis has played big strike offense so far this year. We've talked about what Arkansas has done the last 3 quarters, not giving up an offensive touchdown. Now has Dustin Bowman gone in at the half and said, let's try to march down the field. They're looking for you guys to streak down low. Just saw Malone come across a little 10-yard slant for that first down. So we'll see if Memphis is going to make the adjustment and try to mix things up here.
And DeWandre Crockett, who had 3 interceptions 2 weeks ago, has 1 tonight. Dustin Bowman told us earlier this week they want to test him. But so far, you got to say Crockett's won that battle. So this big strike Memphis offense not showing that explosive element tonight. So you wonder if they, like you say, take a little bit more of a methodical approach down the field.
On the other hand, early here in the second half, we've seen Bones Bagante's defense run a few more blitzes. They're coming after Force a little bit more. They let their D-backs or linebackers do a lot of work in the first half. They're now going to get in that backfield, try to pressure them. That's what they did to them over at Hot Springs, and there's where those interceptions came up in that fourth quarter in the prior game 2 weeks ago.
Sky Forest, 5 interceptions in the Hound Dogs' loss to the Diamonds 2 Saturdays back.
I think Bones Bagante's talking to the officials because you had mentioned it. There are 2 players in vertical motion for Memphis. The Arena League rules allow 2 men to be in motion, but only 1 can be in vertical motion. Now,
yep.
I don't know after the play if the officials can call for a review on that type of a play. They're not looking at it up here, but my guess is that's why he called the timeout and wanted to talk to the officials.
Bones Bagate, the 2025 Arena League Coach of the Year after leading what was then the Hot Springs Wise Guys to the title game in the Arena League last year, and someone with a wealth of indoor football experience both as a player and coach. Low vertical motion. Forrest flush to his left. Forrest looking for the end zone. Passes almost intercepted by Crockett. He had Malone but couldn't loft it over Crockett. Incomplete, nearly an interception.
Now Forrest pressing there, going across the body diagonally toward that corner. Threw into a lot of traffic, and
Corbante Hamilton was actually down there as well for Memphis.
Forrest really fortunate. He was going for Hamilton. He wanted the ball.
He was open. Would have taken a great throw, but nonetheless, Forrest escapes, no damage done. 2nd and 10, and Malone broke out. Forrest thought he was breaking in, and Chapman throws off the helmet, disgusted that he didn't catch that interception. And back-to-back plays that could have gone disastrously for the Hound Dogs. And they escape unharmed for the moment.
Well, and for the first time since the opening game at Nebraska in the second half, Memphis really, you can tell, getting really frustrated out there.
Have not called Donald Gray's name yet here in this third quarter. Had 4 catches in the first half. He's going to go in vertical motion from the right. Malone split out to the left. Blitz comes. Forrest evades. Forrest flips it out to Stackins, and they'll call that an incomplete forward pass.
Now, for Forrest, you just got to take the down there. I know he's trying to make something happen. I know the offense is struggling. He's trying to underhand it or shovel pass it to Stackins or Hamilton there, but you're really risking. If that goes off to the right instead of forward just a little bit, you got your second fumble of the day for Memphis.
And offense coordinator Dustin Bowman now talking with the officials on the field. And you can see Forrest, and he's someone that the coaching staff has said is as cool as they come, but I think the frustration even seeping in to him right now as well.
Well, again, they got at least yesterday, and we'll double check the active roster for tonight. Kevin Taylor potentially could give him a spell. They had some additions.
So 4th and 10 from the Arkansas 20. A surrender only nets you 5 yards, and Memphis trailing 12-6. We'll go for it. Gray to the right, Malone to the left, Tony Bell in the backfield. 3 on the line of scrimmage for Arkansas. Little lateral to Malone. Malone tries to throw it. Now is swallowed up by Crockett. That play goes nowhere. Memphis loses 10 yards at a turnover on downs. Will put the Diamonds in great position to add to their lead.
Well, Crockett the spy gives the autograph to the camera over there after he found Malone. Now Malone played quarterback on 1 play against Monroe and threw a extra point, but he's not throwing a regular pass. And then they had the spy all the way. If you're going to run that play, he's got to throw it. He tried to pump fake it. He didn't have anyone open. That just allowed Crockett to come up and smother him.
So they'll put the ball at about the Memphis 22-yard line, so a loss of 8 on the play. But the Diamonds take over in Memphis territory, looking to add to their 12-6 lead. Ambrose has Dilworth wide open in the end zone. Again, just a little bit too far. It's about the third time tonight Ambrose has overshot one of his receivers in the end zone for a potential touchdown.
Well, he's done it to Dilworth now a couple times. He's done it to Zico a couple times, going deep over the middle. Memphis trying to keep that pressure up, but let's face it, if Ambrose hits just 2 of these passes over the middle, you're looking at a 24-30-6 lead right now for Arkansas. Even though it's just a 12-6 game right now, Matt, momentum and control of this game is squarely on that Arkansas bench right now.
And you wonder if the Hound Dogs defense is going to be the one to have to change that for Memphis. So 2nd and 10 coming up from the Memphis 22. Carter in front of Ambrose. Holds Pagante giving instructions to Zico. He goes in vertical motion. Ambrose flushed. Now he'll run. Blocker in front. Ambrose left side. Ambrose inside the 15 is smacked up against the wall, which comes apart a little bit. They'll have to put that back together. It'll be near the first down marker. I believe a young fan knocked down over there. Just making sure everyone's okay as that wall gave a good bit.
There's your double-edged sword. You can sit right up on the action. The player's standing on the wall. It ought to be heads up. But again, when you get a guy like this, so we've seen Jordan Ambrose both over at Hot Springs and here tonight. The thing is, and I think the reason Memphis was stacking the line when the quarter started in the second half, he's a guy, if you can get to him early, you can bring him down. If you give him 4 to 5 yards to get momentum going, he's going downhill by that time.
Ambrose, a 4-year player at Defiance College and NAIA in Defiance, Ohio, where he played 34 games, including 28 at quarterback from the 2021 to 23 seasons. Had 31 touchdowns, 23 interceptions with them. He actually played the 2024 season after his collegiate career was done in Poland with the Silesia Rebels. So an interesting path
experience
here to Hot Springs, and then spent 2025 with the Tucson Sugar Skull. So got a lot of collegiate experience and indoor football experience.
Hot Springs, Silesia, potato, you know.
Sure, you can put them right next to each other on Google Images, and they're spitting images of one another. Should be twin cities. So they get the wall sorted out. 3rd and about 1.5 yards coming up for Arkansas. Ball at the Memphis 13. Dilworth this time in vertical motion. Ambrose going to keep it himself. He's got room. He's got the first down. Ambrose tackled at the 10. But that'll move the chains for the Diamonds.
If they score in this possession, you got to wonder if they hold Memphis scoreless on the next. If Bones Pagante goes, look, I got a 228-pound quarterback. I got a bowling ball of a running back in Martez Carter. The pace of this game is going quickly. Let me ground and pound the rest of this game out. Now, they've got to score here. So you got to do that before you think forward, but I'm sure he's got that in his back pocket.
Game tied at 6.5. Isaac Zico scoring a touchdown earlier in the third quarter to give the Diamonds lead. Hand off to Martez Carter, running down the left side, reaching for the plane. He's in. Touchdown. Martez Carter, 5'9", 205 pounds, finds the end zone for the first time tonight. And the Diamonds go up 2 possessions with the point after still to come.
We're going to go right to the power game, and Carter throws it to the Diamond fans that made the trip. And there's a good bit of red in the building tonight in Memphis. Went for the corner, knew he just had to get his shoulder down and look for the goal line. Nice effort going low that time, but Lee, that's just a mismatch as far as size.
Diamonds will go for 1. Snap to Ambrose. Ambrose under pressure from Friesen, and he is going to be bottled up. Ball's on the ground. They'll say he's down. Memphis wants that to be a live ball. It was Kimbrough going the other way. Or excuse me, that was actually Martavius Newby who scooped it up and could have had the 2 for Memphis. See if they'll take a look at it or not. They will not, says the replay official up here.
Fortunate thing now, even if they reviewed it and ruled it a fumble, you're not going to get credit for running it back and getting the 2 points anyway. So even if you get it, you just back them up and they get another shot at it.
So 2 third-quarter drives, 2 touchdowns for the Diamonds. First one courtesy of a 5-yard pass from Jordan Ambrose to Isaac Zico. And then Martez Carter, who had 2 touchdowns against the Hound Dogs 2 weeks ago, breaks loose for his first score of the night. And it makes it 18-6. Diamonds with 2:48 to play in the third quarter, and this Memphis offense that's been stuck in the mud all night has to get something going. They got to get going right now.
Well, here we go. If Memphis fails to score on this next possession, you got to think Bones Pagante is going Ambrose and Carter, a steady diet of those two for the fourth quarter if they have that two-possession lead.
Carter, who played his collegiate ball at Grambling State. Mentioned earlier, he briefly signed with the New Orleans Saints in 2019. He actually started his athletic career as a basketball player at Wiley University in Texas. So Zico, the throw-off, it's going to be Ewing this time to receive instead of Briggs. And that ball lands at the 6-yard line. Ewing fumbles it for a moment, fumbles it near the goal line, ball's loose. And this is either going to be Memphis backed up at the 1 or an Arkansas fumble recovery. They're going to call it a safety or a touchdown. Apologies, the official put his hands together for a moment. Ewing fumbled it, got it back, but never had firm control of it. Martavius Miller is the one who came out of the pile with the football. And they'll take a look at it to confirm if it was recovered in the end zone. Either way, Arkansas was the one who came out of the pile with the football. So it's either going to be a touchdown for them or the ball at the 1-yard line.
Well,
There's Miller right there.
He had never secured it when he got slung down, so it's a live ball sitting out there at the 1, and even if you try to field it, it's a live ball in the Arena League.
We're taking a look at it now. Miller may have landed on top of it at the 1. It's just a matter of whether he had possession right there. And I think that's going to be the call. Miller, the fumble recovery at the 1-yard line. So no touchdown for the Arkansas Pine Bluff alum, Martavius Miller. Nonetheless, momentum clearly in Arkansas's favor before that play, and now they have a chance to deliver an early dagger of sorts.
I believe they're going to roll the ball down inside the 1, so that'll negate the touchdown. But let's face it, when you've got Ambrose and Carter, it's just a matter of first and goal from the 1-yard line, less than the 1-yard line to put it in. Another look at that ball floating right there at the 1.
So a disastrous sequence for Memphis. Carter scores to make it a 2-possession Diamonds lead. Ewing never got firm control of that throw-off. Fumbles it inside the 1. Miller on top of it. And the Diamonds with a chance to now take a 3-possession lead. But like you said, pick your poison. The 6'2", 230-pound quarterback or the 5'9" bowling ball in Carter, who just scored a moment ago.
They're going to back Carter all the way up to the 13. He's got his momentum.
Now he's in vertical motion. Carter hit it about the 5. And it looks like he might actually lose a yard. So a nice play by the Memphis defense to stand tall for the moment. Second and goal coming up from the 2.
It's a lot to ask, but Memphis keeps him out of the end zone. They've got an opportunity. They punch it in here. These Diamond fans that made the trip are going to start sniffing, clinching home field in the playoffs if they win this game here tonight.
Hound Dogs defense needs to make a play. They need to make it right now. The Diamonds with a chance to make it a 3-possession game. Second and goal from the 2. Ambrose, play fake. Ambrose under pressure. Ambrose escapes the sack, throws across his body. Intercepted! The last thing Jordan Ambrose could do. And the Hound Dogs have life once again. Guess who? Demisio Ewing, without question, the best player on the field for the Hound Dogs tonight. Might have just saved the game for them.
Willis had 3. Lee came in with 11, so they're going to try to pick on Ewing. Now he's got his 3rd of the game and the season. Big, big play by Ewing, who is picked up in the 3rd game of the season.
Jordan Ambrose broke about every cardinal sin of quarterbacking right there, especially given the situation. Quite literally the last thing he could possibly do. Threw it up for Carter, and Ewing was always going to win that jump ball opportunity. But the Hound Dogs not dead yet. 1st and 10 from inside their 5. Down 18-6. Quick out, that's Donald Gray. And he'll pick up about 3 and be hit along the wall.
Well, the door's been left open. We'll see if Memphis can walk through it. because they're about to be 4 quarters without an offensive touchdown. But that offense has got to find something if they're going to rally in this one.
Final minute of the third quarter. Bell with Forrest in the backfield. Malone to the left, Gray to the right. Malone in vertical motion. Forrest with a little bit of time, going for it all. And Malone turned around and showed Forrest his numbers, and Forrest not on the same page that time, incomplete.
For the third time that Kejuan Malone and Forrest, either the route has been run wrong or the play was called wrong. Regardless, there was miscommunication, but that is the third time in the second half they've not been on the same page.
And those two have had awesome connection and chemistry all year. Malone with multiple touchdowns in back-to-back games, but not on the same page with his quarterback tonight. Third and about 7 coming up. Malone in vertical motion again, going for Malone, and once again, not on the same page. Forrest under pressure that time, incomplete, and you wonder, as this will probably take us to the end of the third quarter, if the Hound Dogs might go for it from inside their own 10-yard line, trailing 18-6. This dynamic Memphis offense has grinded to a halt tonight. The Arkansas Diamonds are 15 minutes away from clinching the South Division title. And before we get to the final moments of the third quarter, it looks like Memphis will actually surrender and give Arkansas the ball at their 15-yard line.
The defense has to come up big again. Again, they got the turnover on Ewing's third interception of the ball game, and they'll have to make another stop. Now they'll have the long field to defend here, but still have to come up with a stop.
Have not blown the third quarter dead yet. And now I think they will. So the BCO Ewing gave Memphis some life with an interception at the 2-yard line. The Hound Dogs offense has been nearly silent tonight. Couldn't do anything with it. And they face a 12-point deficit. The Diamonds with the ball and a chance to clinch a division 15 minutes from now. Jeff Brightwell will have the fourth quarter here from the Memphis Sports and Event Center. 18-6 Diamonds. You're watching the Arena League.
Wow.
Right, well, back with Matt Infield here to start the fourth quarter at the Memphis Sports and Event Center as we'll be about ready to get underway. And right now, the Arkansas Diamondbacks, it's a 12-point lead, but the fact is it is a very commanding 12-point lead at this point. They're 15 minutes away from clinching the top seed in no worse than a share for, in fact, it'll be an outright clinching of the South Division if they hold on this last 15 minutes.
Which would guarantee you, no matter whether it's Memphis, Monroe, anyone else who comes out of the South Division, they will have to go to Hot Springs for a chance at the championship game. 4 quarters in a row, no offensive touchdowns for Memphis.
Dilworth in motion. They'll hand off up under to Carter. Carter's going to be slammed down at the 25, and we'll see the ball across the plane for the first down, but he's right there at the sticks. And here we go. Matt, what I talked about, I think they're going to go steady die to Ambrose and Carter here in the fourth with a 2-possession lead.
Worth pointing out, if you're watching this for the first time, it's running clock in the fourth quarter up until the 2-minute warning, whether it's pass or run. But obviously, the run takes out a lot of risk.
Slant over, caught, and he reaches out and is across into the goal line. Touchdown, Arkansas. And he'll take down the wall, and that may take Memphis hopes for a chance to win the division as well. Really nice job to keep his footing. Dilworth spinning down there to his left, able to maintain the balance. And what a gut punch to the Hound Dogs, and it has been a lot much more low scoring than it was in Hot Springs, but Arkansas has had control of this ball game. And just a nice throw by Ambrose. Dilworth made the nice play, and that'll make it a 24-6 Diamond lead.
Well, so much for ground and pound, and you're just going to run the clock out. Except forget that. We're going for the dagger. Dilworth kind of jungled it to himself. Great hand-eye coordination and body control. This guy had 5 catches for 65 yards, 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago. He's been relatively quiet tonight, but that does not tell the whole story. We've talked about he's had a couple of opportunities where he was open in the end zone and Ambrose missed him, but that time the connection on point, quarterback to receiver.
Well, Dilworth, outstanding, the combo of Dilworth and Zico. And really it's been the 2 defenses tonight that have stood up big. But again, it looked like Bagante drew him up under on the power game and then caught him down at the left. And Dilworth, you know, they're having some fun now. And again, we talked about it. Credit to the Arkansas fans. A lot of Memphis fans with the Hot Springs. A lot of the Diamond fans made their trip over here. Memphis looking like they'll be in a big battle with Monroe to get into the playoffs next week. Could be a rubber match at Hot Springs once we get to the playoffs. And Memphis is going to have some work to do. And even if Memphis doesn't rally here tonight, Matt, Memphis has to find some kind of momentum before they get down to Monroe. Meanwhile, we've talked about point differentials, and it's not running the score up, but Arkansas came in at 0. They were right even at points for and points against. They want points just for the differential, even though they'll clinch it tonight.
This is 2 weeks ago. You could chalk it up for the Hound Dogs to one bad fourth quarter where they were outscored 18-0 after they put up 61 in the first 3, and we're really seeing on both sides of the ball. A couple defensive touchdowns, offense was humming. This is the kind of performance tonight, barring a late comeback, that's going to make them question some things and take a hard look in the mirror at how good they really are, what needs to change, because this has not been the offense that we have been accustomed to seeing over the last month. They had the week 1 done, we'll call it that, but they didn't have the full complement of players available. But since then, they've been rolling, but that roll has been halted in a huge way tonight.
Well, they held on one of the last play at the Ozarks in a game that they had in control in that 3rd game of the season after they blew out Iowa here, their home opener, then came back with the Ozarks. They blew out Monroe, who they'll go to next week. But again, had control of the game through 3 quarters. They were a play away from maybe putting the game away at Hot Springs in the 3rd quarter. Credit the Diamonds, though. They kept it to an 11-point game going in the 4th quarter, and they would end up winning. And their defense has just been outstanding tonight.
You know it has a chance to be a real pivot play on the season for this Hound Dog squad. The Meonte Kimbrough pick 6 that was wiped off the board the 4th quarter by an offsides penalty last week. Would have made a 2-possession game with about 5 minutes left. That could have essentially sealed it for Memphis. Instead, the penalty took it away. Arkansas went out to score what proved to be the game-winning touchdown on that drive. Memphis has not scored since. So that looks like a real kind of inflection point at the moment for both of their seasons.
Well, that is where it's turned for Memphis. And again, not just scoreless offensively. It's been 6 points scored by Memphis totally on the Ewing pick six earlier this game. And one of the more fun offenses to watch in the Arena League middle of the season.
Donald Gray, like we talked about, probably not playing 100%, but they were confident coming out of the bye that he was a lot closer to 100% than he was in that game 2 weeks ago. Made an early impact. He has been very quiet in the second half. Malone's been the go-to target in the second half, but he and Sky Forrest just not on the same page whatsoever. So they felt good. We talked with them this week. They said they felt good at practice. They thought they had a good plan. They thought the players were locked into the details, but it is not reflected in the results tonight. So we also know, we talked about the stakes of the Monroe game. That's going to get them fired up to begin with. Then there's also the fact that those two teams from the first meeting just do not like each other whatsoever. That's going to be a hotly contested game down there in Louisiana next week.
Yeah, Monroe takes care of business tomorrow. That's the battle for second in that final playoff spot. You're looking at battling for first in a span of 3 games from maybe being out of the playoffs in just a span of 3. That's the danger in just an 8-game season. Now, we've talked a lot about Memphis situation. Got to tip your cap. Bones Bagante's team played for a championship last year. He was the coach of the year. We've seen their organization, such positive feedback from the Hound Dog staff after going over to Hot Springs to see how they run their operation. They're in their 3rd season. They changed their name for the Wise Guys of the Diamonds, but it's still the same organization, still the same team basically, still the same family over there. They built the fan base at their arena. You could tell watching that game. Well, that's a 3rd-year team. That's a veteran organization. Memphis, an expansion team trying to get their feet up under them this year. They've done a nice job on the field, but when you take a look at what Arkansas has done, they've built a really nice thing over there in Hot Springs.
Even more impressive for Bones Bagante, considering during the bye, he was at the wedding of the year with his former collegiate teammate Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. I'm just kidding. To my knowledge, he was not actually invited, but he did play in Cincinnati with both of the Kelce brothers. And this is a guy with a lot of indoor football experience. Played 7 years in indoor football, the Omaha Beef, the Kansas City Command, the Nebraska Danger, and a bunch of coaching stops as well. So this is someone like you talked about. The organization has experience, the coaching staff has experience, and the players know what they're doing, and they have executed the game plan beautifully, especially on defense tonight.
Well, they've been there, done that, so you expected this team to play well in the latter 3 games. They had set themselves up, and this is a playoff team here, and they are showing it. Up the middle, Ambrose breaks 1, 2, but will not break the 3rd tackle, and the wall holds up as they got it secured. I thought we were going to have the wall go the other way that time, but they fell on the extra point. It'll stay 24-6.
Yeah, let's keep Ambrose away from the wall the rest of the night. And I'm sure the message after the interception at the 2-yard line a couple possessions ago from Bones Bagante to Ambrose, just hold on to the ball, no turnovers, and with an 18-point lead and the way Memphis has looked so far offensively tonight, imagine they feel pretty good about their chances to close this out.
Well, Memphis, we talked about the point differential, and that's not going to matter between Arkansas and Memphis, but the more points Arkansas gets tonight, the bigger differential. And if Monroe were to win big tomorrow, their point differential gets pretty close going into the last 2 games. If Monroe wins, and those 2 teams ended up tied at the end of the season, it's going to come down to that differential. So Memphis, I know it's frustrating. You're down 24-6, but you still got to play out this 4th quarter and not let it get any more out of hand.
Well, here's the frustrating part for Memphis at the point differential. It probably won't matter at this point, but they came in plus 39 while Arkansas was dead even. Well, guess what? Not only are you down 18, it's double the impact because Arkansas now plus 18 on the season. As it stands, Memphis goes from plus 39 to plus 21.
In and out of the hand. That's a live ball, and he is decked in the end zone. Well, trying to get it out there, but there is no hope. Once he made the turn, that's going to be a safety. And it just goes from bad to worse for Memphis. Briggs couldn't handle it. That's the 2nd mishandled throw off tonight by Memphis.
Well, Ewing was the return man last time, and that was about the only mistake he made on the night, but the fumble that put Arkansas at the 1-yard line couldn't pay that one off, but Briggs let that one go over his head. Put 2 on the board for the Diamonds, and they get the ball.
Well,
and now guess what, Jeff? That point differential we just talked about,
Right.
Arkansas goes plus 20 at the moment. Memphis plus 19, just like that.
So now you're really going to have, if you're Memphis, you're going to have to do some scoreboard watching tomorrow night. If Monroe wins big at Ozarks, it gets tight. And again, the differential makes no difference. Arkansas is going to have the top seed, home field for at least the semifinals in the playoffs. But if Memphis falls next week and it comes down to a tie at the end of the season, that's where the point differential comes into play.
Safe to say Memphis will be big fans of Ozarks tomorrow night in that matchup with Monroe.
So a 26-6 lead for the Diamonds, and they're going to get the ball right back, and they're really going to be able to have the potential to really pour it on Memphis at that point.
That's Donald Gray we see go into the locker room. So, and I mean, at this point, if he's playing banged up, you're down by 20, Arkansas is getting the ball back. There is a point. I know there's 12 minutes left. Weird things could happen in this league. You can put up a lot of points really fast. It's approaching a point for Memphis where you pseudo-wave the white flag and hope for better luck in Monroe next week.
You got to be as healthy as you can be down in Monroe, Louisiana against the Greenheads next week.
Also, by the way, credit Zico on the throw off that time that put Briggs in a precarious position where the ball bounced over his head. His best move, probably 20/20 hindsight, would have been letting the ball bounce out of the back of the end zone. But if you try to do that and Arkansas jumps on top, it's a touchdown.
Yeah. Last check, by the way, Iowa was leading 24-19 against St. Joseph's. So here is the return for Arkansas. They'll stretch it out to the left right at the 25-yard line by Martavius Miller. So they'll have it at midfield.
That was third point. I definitely agree. Now, we don't want to jump too far ahead of ourselves because last time we said they were going to play it safe and run the ball. They hit Dilworth for a long touchdown right away. But Ambrose and Carter, a couple of bowling balls, especially you want to keep your quarterback healthy. We might see a healthy dose of Martez Carter on this drive.
So Ambrose has been outstanding back there. And credit Ambrose, when they weren't getting the offense going in the first, he just remained very patient, didn't see any frustration. He's a veteran in the indoor game. That's the thing. You're a third-year franchise in the league. You played for a championship. Here's where that experience pays off back half of the season.
Ambrose made one big mistake tonight, the interception to Ewing. Other than that, it's been solid.
Up under to Carter. Carter, that's all they need. He's just going to grind out about 7-8 yards up toward the 21-yard line of Memphis. Clock will roll until we get to the 2-minute warning.
Should mention 2 interceptions, Ambrose to Ewing. But other than that, I agree. He's been very methodical, and they came out of the locker room a completely different team, unlike Memphis, who their woes have just carried on the entire night, really.
Zico in vertical motion. They'll check to the left, and now Ambrose will keep it himself. He'll put his head down. He'll bowl his way for a few yards just at the 20, maybe across. Now they'll spot it right at the 20-yard line. They'll bring up third and about 2.
And Jeff, something else that reminds us of, the Hound Dog staff wanted Sky Forest to run more this week. We didn't see much of that. And they were pretty adamant. They wanted him to take the 4 to 5 yards when they were there. Ambrose has obviously been a big weapon with his legs, and that's been a huge, I think, differentiating factor in these two offenses as well.
Ambrose keeps again. He's going to have the first down, and he's going to carry a lot of dogs toward that wall. And now here comes the frustration from Memphis here late in this ball game. Flags will go flying. Some of the Diamonds come off of the bench on the far side of the field. Officials do a nice job to get in the middle of this quickly and get it separated.
I think it was Zico and Ladarius Lee getting mixed up at first, and then a couple other players on both sides joining the fracas.
See, the big story, really, I think the big difference in this game, and we talked about what Ambrose has done, but the fact that you look at the defensive backfield, whether it's Seminette, Chapman, Crockett, Miller, Primes, Hunt, the D-backs have done such a nice job against the Memphis receiving corps, not letting them break free for the deep plays tonight.
And apologies, that was actually, I don't think it was Lee. I thought it was number 5. I think it was actually Willis, number 3, who initially got mixed up with Zico, who was blocking for his quarterback Ambrose, and now laundry all over the field, and the officials will have to sort it out.
So we'll take a long look at this one as we saw multiple flags fly initially. One flag toward the middle of the field came out late. We saw a few of the Arkansas players come off the bench. But a lot of frustration. Meanwhile, St. Joe's still trailing Iowa 30-25. They're just underway in the fourth quarter. That's big for St. Joe's because they're a game behind Nebraska. Nebraska right now, big Iowa Woo fans.
Yeah, that could really put Nebraska in prime position to lock up the North.
Yeah, they win tomorrow night. You'll know your division winners with 2 weeks to go. Then it's just the battle for second place in both divisions.
Nebraska, of course, took care of the Hound Dogs in week 1 pretty handily. And we're getting word from the replay official up here that Jelani Willis has been ejected for his role in that scuffle with Isaac Zico.
So Willis done for the night.
Shame, because he played – the Hound Dogs defense for the most part tonight has played really well, and Willis has made a bunch of impact plays. But like you talked about, the frustration boiling over, a night that has not gone their way whatsoever, and Willis will hit the showers early.
And they will get Ahmad Butler back in the ball game. He'll take Willis' spot. They're going to stack it up between the hashes. Ambrose fakes the handoff. He'll get caught in the backfield about the 12-yard line and racing up. That's your newcomer, Ahmad Butler.
If I'm Bones Pagante, low hits to Jordan Ambrose's legs right now are about the last thing I want to see. Because you know that's where Memphis is going to try and hit him and bring him down. So
you also take a look at Martez Carter. He plays so far back, which is fine. You want the momentum. He's going to have 7 yards head of steam. Now he's just going to set up off to his right, just in front. They're going to put Ambrose way back in the shotgun this time. Throw over to the left to Zico, and Zico will lean forward inside the 3-yard line down to about the 2.
Something we kind of hit on briefly before, but a wrinkle that Bones Pagante, again, a veteran of the indoor league, of indoor football, I should say, was using Carter as the vertical motion guy. We haven't seen a ton of teams use the running back in that role, but you get him ahead of steam, look out.
To the left and forced out at the wall. They went to Martez Carter. He scored on a play like that on the opposite side of the field early in the ball game when they stretched it out toward the corner.
I think it's Ethan Hassler for Memphis, slow to get up.
Oh, and Hassler, part of that pile that slammed into the wall, and will have to gather himself. Because that's
I think he took a knee from Kimbrough, who was running over. I think he got kneed in the helmet. I'm going to look at it here. Right there as he hits the ground, and here comes Kimbrough, and that's exactly what happened.
Yes, got caught between the knee of Kimbrough, and also Carter was on the other side, so he just got sandwiched in there as Eric Rollins, the defensive coordinator, Robert Redmond, the head coach, over there to check on him. So now you had an ejection. Obviously, it looks kind of like a banged-up Gray, and now you got one of your better linebackers out there, and Ethan Hassler down. Memphis trailing at 26-6. And again, Arkansas just over 6 minutes from sealing the top seed in the South Division with 2 games to go. Even if they were to lose their last 2 games and Memphis were to win and tie it, they would still have the 2-0 head-to-head tiebreaker and have that home playoff game over in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Jeff, I was doing research to prep for this game, and Arkansas is a really interesting team because there are a lot of indicators, if you want to call it that, I would say they're not this 4-1, soon-to-be 5-1 team on top of the division. They came into tonight last in the league at third down conversion, last in the league at red zone percentage, last in the league at penalties. But what I am seeing is a team that has clearly gotten better. We talked about they lost 40-14 week 1. Their point totals have climbed every week since then. That'll change tonight in all likelihood after they put up 68 last week. But this is a team that is ascending and peaking with the playoffs right around the corner.
Good, and they kind of had a similar trajectory, Memphis and Arkansas, because Arkansas loses that first game to St. Joe's, who's battling for the North Division title. Memphis lost that first game to Nebraska, who's in first place, and both teams had kind of caught the streak. They played the one-possession game 2 weeks ago, but it was a one possession game at the half here. Actually, it was a 6-6 game at the half, but it's been all Arkansas, and that's the difference between right now an expansion franchise, guys playing together for the first time. They've not made playoff runs together. New coach in Robert Redmond, to a team that has had a franchise for 3 years. They've got a core that's been together for a little while. Bones Bagante's been there, and he's done that, not just in indoor football, but in Arkansas. And the experience usually is going to be the factor that pays off once you get late in season.
Good to see Ethan Hassler back to his feet, gingerly walking back to the Hound Dogs bench with assistance from head coach Robert Redmond.
Meanwhile, Iowa's gone up 36-25 against St. Joe's.
On the road, too. That would be one of the bigger upsets of the year.
Well, St. Joe might be in the same position Memphis is in. If they don't win tonight, now they're fighting potentially for the playoffs with 2 games to go. Well, ready to go. Ambrose lobs it to the back. Fight for the ball. Touchdown, Arkansas Diamonds. Hung on to it, got the foot in. It's going to be Hobbs who hangs on in the back out of East Texas State, where he was a junior college national champion.
Let's see who this was. I think it was Ewing, and Hobbs just big boyed him. Not much more analysis on that one. 6'3", 255. Ewing's had a great night, but 6'1", 180 and 6'3", 255, one out there. And yet, it was on his head.
So they'll try for the extra point as they expand the lead. And if there was any doubt, which there really wasn't, there is none now, that Arkansas is about to take this division with 2 weeks to go.
Think about how much has flipped in the last, we'll call it 5 quarters for both these teams.
Flag goes up. Ambrose overthrows in the back of the end zone looking for Zico.
Because at the end of the third quarter at Hot Springs a couple weeks ago, and that saw in Arkansas, that penalty, the end of the third quarter, Memphis, 10-point lead. You're thinking they're in a good spot. They would have gone to 4-1 with the home game tonight and a chance to clinch the division. And now it is going to be Arkansas clinching on their home field while they're going to be fighting for their playoff lives, and more importantly to me, just looking for answers on what went wrong tonight.
Memphis, again, had to find any kind of momentum going to Monroe. They don't score before this game's over. We take a look down and see Ethan Hassler going to the locker room.
Yeah, good to see him walking now without assistance, because that was a scary-looking moment as he took a knee to the head.
But if Memphis doesn't score in this fourth quarter, that's 5 quarters without an offensive touchdown, and that's 5 quarters of only 6 points scored. And Monroe wins again tomorrow. They're licking their chops waiting for Memphis to ruin Memphis. Not just they won't have first place, they could bump Memphis out of the playoffs next week.
And like we talked about, no love lost between Monroe and Memphis, so I think they would gladly take that chance. It'll be an interesting finale to the season.
Memphis has had issues with the throw-off tonight. This one's secured at the 5, up the middle. Short return this time, shy of the 15-yard line for DJ Briggs.
Jeff, I think what will be one of the most disappointing aspects for head coach Robert Redmond, when we talked to him this week, he said, we've been great at home. We got to start winning road games. Well, that's tonight. You've laid an egg at home. You're going to lose by, it's 26 right now. We'll see if it remains that way. After you won your first 2 home games, 50-18 over Iowa in week 2, and that 65-20 thrashing of Monroe in week 4. Much different story tonight.
So sits at 32-6 now with 5.5 minutes to go. Forrest with Bell to his left. Toss over the middle and nearly picked off again. Throw a little bit behind. Again, they were looking for Malone coming to the left side. Again, defensive backfield tonight for Arkansas has been outstanding in shutting down the Memphis receivers.
Donald Gray back on the field to start this drive. Kind of wonder if you might just want to save him for next week at this point, given we know he's not 100%.
Gray up high. Malone goes in motion. Forrest will take it himself, but he's going to be stuffed right at the line of scrimmage, and a flag comes out.
This offense has just had. This is not one of those nights where you look at the point total and say there was more to be had. They've had no rhythm all night.
Flag will go against Arkansas. Someone may have got him by the face mask. Forrest 3 for 9, 12 yards in the second half.
Meanwhile, you look at the Diamonds' second half drive chart. Touchdown, touchdown, interception on the 1 yard line, touchdown, touchdown.
Yeah, you can see handful of face masks there. So Forrest steps back. Here comes the rush. Scrambles, ball's loose. Fumble, Arkansas ball. It is going to be to Darren Primes with the pickup.
Jeff, for Memphis, this is one of those what you would call burn the tape games.
Yeah.
Except you can't burn the tape. You have to learn from this. But after you learn from it, you definitely burn the tape. Because this has been a frankly pitiful performance by the Hound Dogs.
Be on the Arena League YouTube page forever.
They're trying to get it wiped. Yeah, after the Ewing pick six that tied the game in the first quarter, basically nothing has gone right for them.
Meanwhile, Iowa's now up 43-25, under 7 to go at St. Joe's.
I think you see Sky Forrest there off to the side. He's been frustrated tonight, and he's a guy that's usually very composed, but his performance has definitely got to him a little bit.
Evans, the receiver, on the bottom half, and Zico up high. They'll hand off and wrestle down at the line of scrimmage, giving it to Martez Carter. Just keep that clock rolling. They're less than 90 seconds away from the 2-minute warning.
All right, Jeff, now I think we can safely say they're going to run the ball with Carter and burn the clock.
So they've got the 2-0 tiebreaker on Memphis. Point differential doesn't matter to them. They're going to seal up the top overall seed in the South. They'll have a home playoff game. And now they'll just try to keep momentum over the next 2 weeks. And it'll either be, you can look at the standings, unless Ozark pulls off something huge, it'll either be Memphis or Monroe going over to Hot Springs to start the playoff. Could have a rubber match. Well, it won't be a rubber match. We could have a third match with Memphis and Arkansas, or it could be the Greenheads. We'll see if the Greenheads, another expansion team, figure some things out late in the season.
By the way, they threw the ball right after I said they were going to burn the clock, so what do I know?
Ambrose has Zico in the slot, and again, Evans on the right side. And they'll just kick it out toward the wall to Zico to keep the clock moving. He'll be shy of the 20-yard line. They'll be about 5 yards shy of the first down.
There's a flag on the play. I believe it's going to be on the offense.
Now again, their defense has been outstanding. The offense has fouled enough tonight. Penalties have still been an issue for them. And even once it got to be 12-6, it just felt like they had control of this ball game, the way their defense was playing.
Absolutely. You got to give a lot of credit to that, man. Last week, you could say Memphis maybe gave the game away. The Diamonds have taken control of this one basically from the start, certainly in the second half, and have not let go.
They've outscored Memphis 26-0 in the second half. We'll take the time out of the 2-minute warning. Arkansas is going to win the division. They're up 32-6 here in Memphis as you watch the Arena League. Well, the game in hand for Arkansas, they're going to take the South Division here tonight up 32-6. Well, we have a couple of minutes. We've talked about, third year of the Arena League, Matt, and the fact that Arkansas is a third-year team. Lauren Hatton, their general manager, and their staff, their ownership group, what a job they've done. They've had 3 years to get that franchise up and running as Ambrose is going to try to dump it over, and what a catch at the 25. Now, this is going to be well short of the first down, but to get some positive yardage out of that for Ambrose is big. But going back to Arkansas, they built it from scratch first year of the league, so you can start to see the difference between a franchise that's been around for a few years compared to James Fisher at Memphis, the general manager, getting this franchise off the ground. And when you take a look even at the crowd tonight, now some, with it being 32-6, have made their way out of here, but still, third home game and the third really nice crowd here at the Memphis Sports and Events Center. Once he's able to have a full year to establish a staff, get the organization together, I think he's put together some really good roots and foundation for the Hound Dog franchise.
I was at work at one of the local television stations, Action News 5 here in Memphis earlier, and our chief meteorologist who came out to the last home game said, I've got to get to the Hound Dogs game tonight. So this team has generated some real buzz and excitement. It's a lot of players from the general Memphis area or guys that have played at the University of Memphis. So this is a tough night, but I agree. It does not dilute what they are starting to build, even if the team is going to have to take a hard look in the mirror at tonight's results. I agree. Big picture, there's a lot of good with this team right now.
That one is regathered out to the 20-yard line as Memphis takes over on downs now. That'll spot it to the 20 as they got it to Carmonte Hamilton.
6'3", 285, and he still moves like that.
Getting word, too, that looks like the Woo are going to pull off that upset, 43-25, which will pretty much clinch it for Nebraska. I think if Nebraska finishes off and wins it tomorrow night, that would seal it for Nebraska. So you would know your division winners. Malone stuffed at the 24. He'll get the forward progress and thrown down, but the whistle was not blown, so that's illegal. But we'll see if they give him the first down at the 25. They've done, again, just such a phenomenal job tonight against Gray and Malone. There's Switzer, the newcomer.
Talk about that Iowa result. What's the term in the NFL? Any given Sunday. So what is in the Arena League? I guess in this case, any given Friday, any given Saturday, because I did not see that result coming.
Oh, I mean, Iowa had Nebraska on the ropes. Looks like they had that game won last week, but Nebraska pulled one out in the fourth quarter. Forrest scrambles, trying to make anything happen, just goes down to the 8-yard line. Well, another one's going to help him there, as Forrest will be down inside the 10-yard line. And looks like that is going to bring us to our final play as the time's going to tick off the clock. All right, Matt, as we wrap things up here, 32-26. Arkansas is going to clinch the South Division. They'll have the home playoff game. They'll just try to keep momentum and stay healthy the next 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Memphis, a game that may be a must-win depending on what Monroe does tomorrow down in Monroe, Louisiana next week.
Well, Memphis' point differential tonight dropped from plus 39 to plus 13. So if Monroe wins tomorrow night against Ozarks, draws to 3-3, they go from minus 33 to whatever it could be. Next week's game could loom large. Now, Memphis can still put themselves in a really good spot if they win at Monroe, because they would have the 2-0 head-to-head advantage on the season. But, man, like we talked about, that was an unrecognizable team tonight for the Hound Dogs compared to what we've seen over the last month. Meanwhile, must be said, big congratulations to Arkansas. A couple weeks ago, that game went right down to the wire. This was a dominant performance by them, especially in the final 30 minutes.
That'll wrap it up. It'll be 32-6 Arkansas. Memphis drops to 3-3, 2-2 in the South. Arkansas clinches the South. They're 5-1, 4-0 in the division and the division champions. That'll wrap things up from the Memphis Sports and Events Center. For Matt Infield, my broadcast partner, our production crew from 85 Creative, our statistician Tyler Hanna. I'm Jeff Brightwell. Thank you so much for joining us tonight from Memphis as you've been watching the Arena League.